Hey, 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 bumbo, hey. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of On Death and Smiling, the world's #1 podcast on death and smiling. That's our new tag phrase. Forgive me for the beginning there. That's just me doing my vocal warm-ups as my vocal cord. Jesus Christ. Clearly, I didn't do enough warming up. My vocal warm-ups that my vocal coach taught me. A little bit of blanking to get the ball rolling and to clear out any phlegm and to just kind of wake up a little bit. Welcome back. I just wanted to jump in here very quickly. So quickly, you're not even going to know I'm here. Like, insane how quick I'm about to be. I wanted to tell you about a little thing that's going to happen in this episode that I had this is a discussion I had with a friend named Amanda, whom I had just met when we recorded. We very quickly became friends, but we do talk about some darker stuff in this episode, and I'm sure you guys are used to it at this point, but this one does jump into some, suicide stuff. So just a fair warning. It feels like something like, when you watch like something on Netflix or whatever, it'll tell you there's suicide talk and like stuff like that. So it feels like something I need to do. I need to warn you about. So other than that, though, the conversation is excellent. We talk about all the things under the sun, talk about her experience with grief. We talk about her strategies to cope with grief, some stuff I'd never even heard of, some acronyms that I thought she made up. She didn't, turns out. Things that she did to get through it, and the way that she kind of took the bull by the horns with her grief is amazing. So listen to it, like it, love it. Again, #1 podcast in the world. You said that, not me. I love y'all so much. Enjoy the episode. Hug your mother, hug your brother. Tell them I said I love them. And I'll talk to you soon. We're going to play the music. Here we go. Love you. Bye. And bring it to you however you want and get comfortable with it. Like that thing, that whole arm will extend and it's durable, so don't be afraid to manhandle it.
Wow. Is this going to be one of those things where you hate to hear your voice being replayed?
Some people feel that way. I fucking love my voice. Wow. I especially love it in the microphone. So
not narcissistic at all.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you should like your voice.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's cool too because it isolates you, so you hear it and you hear like the nuance of your voice. Some people like, do you know Sammy? What is her last name?
I know of her. We have mutual friends. I think I listened to the podcast.
Yes, her.
Yes.
She after the fact was like, I hated my voice. And I was like,
no.
I think you sound great.
Yeah.
I think anyone that comes on here sounds great. And I'm not just saying that to make you feel good. I think people, like, voices are cool, and I think it's cool to be able to come in here and like exclusively hear your voice and hear your voice in a way that you're not used to hearing it.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good perspective.
I think people hate their voice because they feel everyone's insecure. So I feel like everyone's just like, I hate what I said. Like, I had a guy come on here, Cannon. I don't know if you listened to that one.
Yeah, I did.
He rocked. I thought his story was awesome. He was concise and to the point, and everything he said was exactly what I wanted him to do without me having to guide him. Mm-hmm. And after the fact, he was like, I sounded like a dumbass. And I was like, dude, you rocked. I was like, you sounded great.
Yeah, it's you're vulnerable talking about this stuff. So if you're able to even just be here, I think that's great.
Yeah, I think so too. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Can I tell you a little bit about myself besides all being a trauma baby mama
sure.
for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
I am Amanda. I'm 30 years old. I have a partner, husband, Weston, who you've met before. Mm-hmm. Piper, we have an 11-year-old rescue. Oh. Yeah, she's great. My hobbies, I love to road cycle. I'm a big mushroom forager. I like to weightlift too. Garden, knit and create my own clothes, cook, baking, and I am RuPaul's Drag Race #1 fan. That is a great summary of me.
Yeah, perfect. Knit your own clothes.
Yeah.
Is anything you're wearing knit by you?
No, sad. Dang. I know. It's all like fast fashion looking.
Lululemon.
Yeah.
That's cool. What kind of clothes did you knit? Like all articles?
Sweaters, tops, dresses, hats, all that good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to check something real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Because sometimes I screw it up and things are wrong, but I think we're perfect. Okay, sorry. I guess my first thoughts are, how are you doing? My first question is, how are you doing? Because it sounds like your dad was kind of more recent, like within the year or a year plus?
A little, like maybe 14 months, but I kind of, relative in a year. I'm doing okay. All things relative. I feel okay, all things considered, honestly.
That's great.
Yeah, I've done a lot of inner work. Jumped right in, and it's really paid off.
What does that mean, inner work? Like, how would you describe that?
Ooh, I did some really intensive therapy for about 6 months.
Immediately after?
So my dad passed September of 2023, the end. So I had October and then the holidays.
Fun.
Yeah. And, I kind of like blacked out. I don't remember very much of the holidays or those first few months. In January, I already have a therapist, worked with my therapist, and we noticed some PTSD symptoms. We knew, grief is going to be present after someone passes, especially someone close to you. But yeah, we noticed some PTSD symptoms, and I felt ready after the holidays. I was like, let's just get this behind us. Like, let me kind of start fresh. And so we were able to jump in and do some therapy, EMDR therapy, which is eye movement rapid desensitization therapy. Are you familiar with that?
I've heard of it.
Nice.
Not familiar.
Yeah. It's really, really cool. Very hard. It's not fun.
What makes it hard?
It is a type of exposure therapy. You are exposing yourself to talking about your traumas and reliving your traumas while having working on your brain reprocessing those memories. Because in PTSD, your brain or your memory gets stuck on a loop, and your brain's not able to process those memories. It's a neurobiological change within your brain, the way your brain processes memories once you have PTSD. So you have to feel your emotions to heal them.
I like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I don't know, these symptoms were very debilitating for me. And I'm the type of person that if there's something wrong, I want to fix it. I don't like to numb or do things like that. I'm really good about like needing, to fix things kind of immediately. But I wanted to give myself some time.
Sure.
After the holidays. Yeah.
That was probably a smart move.
Yeah.
So what's the rapid eye part?
Yeah, good question. They use bilateral stimulation, which is two parts of the brain, the left and the right hemisphere. You're a runner, right? Or do you run?
No. Thank you, though. That's very sweet of you.
Trying to think.
Lauren runs.
Okay.
I know what running is.
So, walking and running. Has she ever gotten stressed before? And she's like, I need to go for a run. Or like, yeah, it's
maybe 5 to 6 days a week.
It's that's using bilateral stimulation to kind of calm your body down to help regulate your nervous system. You can use eye movements, which is moving your eyes left to right while you're talking to your therapist about these memories and bringing things up. I used chest tapping. So like I went left to right while I was talking about them. You could walk with your therapist while you talk about this. It just helps speed up helping your brain process those memories at the same time, exposing yourself to those traumas.
So by like physically engaging at the same time, you're sort of like dusting it off or something, like dusting the rust off.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you did tapping instead of eye shaking. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
I don't know. I'm more of a somatic person in my therapies. If I have anxiety, I have a lot of somatic body symptoms. I'm not very like, oh, I'm in my head, I'm anxious. It's more of like, oh, my heart's racing. Oh, my stomach's dropping kind of thing. So we found that tapping my body helps me regulate better.
So your therapist is talking to you while simultaneously you're tapping on your chest, or you're talking about your trauma while you're tapping on your chest.
Certain memories. Yeah, there's definitely some certain memories that were stuck on loop in my brain that were very aversive to me. That would pop up constantly in my head. I'll tell you some symptoms that I was having.
Sure.
Fun stuff.
Can't wait.
Nightmares, flashbacks, constant like intrusive thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts like pertaining to the trauma, or like just like intrusive, like terrible thoughts?
Like one day I was in a work meeting and my brain was like, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And it wouldn't stop. And it wasn't like I was thinking about that. It was like,
Out of nowhere.
it was like, it was on a loop and it wouldn't go away. Flashbacks and memory. Yeah. Flashbacks, nightmares, executive functioning difficulties, brain fog and a lot of fatigue. Yeah. Totally. I mean, and grief too. So it's like, those go hand in hand. I was just constantly exhausted.
Yeah. I don't think that gets enough like recognition, like the physical toll that grieving takes on you or on people.
I know. And when you're trying to be an adult and do all these tasks, it's like, then you get overwhelmed and you don't do anything.
Well, that's what's so crazy to me about when people die in the US. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I've never had like a terribly conventional job. So I've always had time off and what my bosses have always been very generous with giving me the time I need to mourn and et cetera, et cetera. But generally I feel like someone dies and they kind of give you like a couple weeks or a month and all of a sudden you're like, the funeral's over and everything's happened and you're done. And then you're like back at work.
It was awful.
In my mind, I feel like, I know it's like a totally ridiculous expectation. There's a guy on the roof. What's he doing? But I feel like it should be like 6 months to a year of not being off of work, but like 6 months to like re-engage. Cause I feel like when someone dies that you love and that you're close to, it's like you're also dying. You're also like, or you're being like, you could compare it to being like injured. People get like months off for fucking injuries. Yet we just don't look at grief the same way. And I would love to see some sort of change in that, allowing people like proper time to heal.
Totally. And I'm lucky enough that I was at a company I was at a company long enough to offer FMLA. So I think it was November. I was like, I can't do this. I can't even send one email.
So he died in September and you were working in November? Or probably
I think I took a week off and then I was right back in it.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, my brain wasn't working. I couldn't do anything.
No. Well, and then also all of a sudden, all that stuff is like less meaningful. You're like doing this. You're like, what am I fucking doing with my time right now?
Yeah. They were like, do you want to join this call to talk about like, we're doing a fitness club at work. I'm like, I don't give a shit about this right now.
Yeah. Fitness club. Cool.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, what does this mean? Yeah. So FMLA helped me a lot and I'm still on it. I just re-upped. It's helpful if I have any flare-ups.
Flare-ups? Mm-hmm. To talk about that, what's that mean? Like a PTSD flare-up? Or like what do you mean by that?
Yeah, good question. So now with my mom having cancer, when I come back from home from her infusions, I kind of crash a bit, like emotionally.
Sure.
And, it kind of brings me back, not to the PTSD, but almost sort of the grief feeling that I had when my dad passed, just kind of my body shutting down and I'm not very productive at work. And I also take off for therapy. I still have therapy that I go to every other week. And it's helpful for me to like take off on work on those days.
Totally.
So I could process things and not just be like, all right, I talked about something traumatic and let's go back to work.
Right. Well, and that's also like the expectation I feel like here is this like pull yourself up by your bootstraps like attitude, whereas like it's okay to like not be okay.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to like, you don't have to like rub dirt on it all the time. You know? And I feel like a lot of people all the time are going through similar things. and no one gets any credit for it.
Yeah.
And I don't think like, I feel like there's like a fine line like of teetering between like letting your trauma like turn you into like a puddle all the time versus pulling there's like somewhere in between like being a little baby bitch about it all the time and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. There's like a good balance between those two things, you know?
Yeah.
I happen to fall into like the puddle part.
Yeah.
Like when the hurricane happened, I was like, I think I had like I don't know if it was a flashback or I don't know, like it brought up, like when bad things happen in my life now, my brother died during COVID. And so I had like ample time, you know, I was getting fat checks from the government through unemployment and I didn't have a job and no one was allowed to see each other. So I was just like alone, but I had all this time to just kind of like mourn and go through like my feelings and like sulk, to be frank. So now when bad things happen, I feel like I just want to sulk for a little while. So like when the hurricane happened, I was just like, and I just like laid on the floor, you know, like that's how I want to deal with it. And sometimes that's not an effective method of managing those things. So
interesting. You had that opportunity to have a different perspective of a time of grief in your adulthood where you didn't have like those expectations with that job. And now you know, well, I know with the hurricane, with your job.
Yeah, the hurricane did the same thing. And now I'm in the same position where like, it sucks, but at the same time, like my job got destroyed and it's given me like a pretty nice little window to like think about it, deal with it, process it, mourn it, and like try and formulate like a game plan for like the next chapter of my life, which was similar. Like when my brother died, I was like, okay, now what do we do? I don't have to decide right now. You know, I don't know.
I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to sulk. I'd rather you show your emotions than stuff it down, numb it, and then it comes out in some weird way, you know?
Sure.
I'm all for, you know, I think people don't show their emotions enough, so.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I like to sulk. I think there's something like satisfying about it. It feels like it feels necessary for like my process. During COVID, my sulking was isolated. I was alone, so it only affected me. Whereas now, like managing like a household and a partner, and the sulking is, I need to be able to balance the sulking a little better, probably. But anyway, yeah, I agree. I think the emotions are important, especially since we're all going to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know? So your dad was the first big one for you?
Yeah, he had cancer, gosh, since I was in second grade. So he had it once, and when I was in second grade, then it came back in eighth grade, then it came back in 11th grade, and then when I was 25, the doctor started noticing some spots that came up again. So, and my mom has been paralyzed before, and I've just dealt with a lot of health issues with my family, so it's nothing new, but I always saw them as resilient, and this was the first time I was like, oh shit, life is really fragile, you know? Because he was always really strong about these things. He never really showed his emotions. He was about the cancer and stuff. So I don't know. It didn't affect, how do I say this? I guess I was naive because I thought life would be okay. And this cancer, he would be fine again.
Well, I mean, if he has it your whole life like that, I imagine, he gets good at having cancer because he's just had it. And then you probably get sort of, naive or good at compartmentalizing and be like, well, he's had cancer. It's not a big deal. He's just had cancer since I was in second grade.
Totally. It's like just another thing and he'll be fine.
That's what kind of cancer?
Thyroid cancer, which,
gosh,
it's actually pretty treatable. But I don't know. I mean, I guess technically he lived for 20 years with it, off and on. When you think about it. So he did have a long life with it.
Yeah. That's a pretty I mean, I don't know anything about anything, but like having cancer for 20 years. And I mean, that probably builds like a pretty resilient family unit. And then your mom got leukemia. Like last year?
Christmas week this year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a really fun holiday.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Holidays are probably so fun for your family.
And it was in the same hospital that my dad died in like the same room type. And I was like, oh, lovely.
Well, at least like your grief has like that's your grief. Now you know. Like it's got this like hue to it. You're like, that's the place. It's not like it's like you go to the one hospital room and that's like your trigger.
Totally.
Whereas if like, you know, your mom found out like at Disney World or something, then Disney World's ruined.
Yeah, it's like once I leave the hospital, I can just leave it there.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never thought about it like that, honestly.
I fucking hate hospitals.
Yeah,
I don't go to them. I hate them. Because my mom died when I was 15, and like now when I go to hospitals, I can like feel myself. I can feel like my skin like tighten around my bones because it's just like it takes me back to like the like most terrible event of my life. I mean, one of.
Yeah, you were so young. That's awful.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a different person from then, so it almost feels like I'm remembering someone else's. Like I'm like, man, that sucks that happened to that kid, you know, which is weird. Like my memory of it is like I'm thinking, like I have sympathy for a 15-year-old kid and not my own self.
Wow.
That was weird.
Well, very insightful.
Strange. But now when I go to hospitals, I just am like, and I don't think anyone has like a good taste in their mouth towards a hospital, but
totally.
I can feel there's like a visceral, physical like reaction when I go to hospitals now.
So like with your brother too, right? Like, yeah. Yeah,
his was weird too because of COVID. So like everything was fucking all shaky and weird, and they like finally like bent the rules towards the end because he ended up going into a coma for 2 weeks. And so at the very end, my dad and I were all like, we were allowed in at the same time. But up until that point, it was like we had to take turns to go and like hold his hand and like cry on his chest and stuff. It was really weird.
Was he was on the ventilator, I'm guessing? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That shit sucks.
Yeah.
It's very traumatic seeing that, you know.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's awful. Life support. Mm-hmm. And then I don't think I've mentioned this before to anyone really, because it's just like one of those things that it's not like it's not good party talk to mention this.
You can tell it to me.
He like seized one night and like while he was in his coma, and he like bit through his tongue. Oh shit. So like over the like 2 weeks, he's just like progressively getting worse and worse. And we're just like, what are we doing here? Like, let's just call it what it is and finish this thing.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, that 2 weeks was like, I'm hanging out with my grandma, I'm hanging out with my brother's friends, and my dad and I are like drinking beer in the hospital parking lot. So like, I wouldn't trade it, but it just was brutal. It's like a brutal thing to like watch anyone go through, let alone someone that you cherish. So hospitals are like, I'm grateful for them, but fuck them. I don't want to do it.
Wow. Do you have any traumatic memories from that hospital, like seeing your brother in that state?
I mean, the whole thing, when I think, that's the weird part is like, I am sad about it still, but I do, like in my times of grief, especially like when it first occurred, I felt very much like a rock for people. Like, I remember like my grandma and I sitting in the lobby while my dad's in there, like hanging out with my brother and doing whatever they were doing, and like making her laugh and stuff, you know? And then same for when my mom died, same for like, my brother is 4 years older than me. And right after she died, I remember like going back to my grandma's house and sitting there and having to like be this, I was like, you and me against the world, my man, you know, like trying to like cheer him up. And it's just weird because I was sad, and it is sad, but I remember those things not with a fondness, but with like maybe like a pride, like some like pride,
yeah,
with the way that I like handled it. Him biting through his tongue was pretty awful. And then like the drive up, because I basically got the call that he was being hospitalized and everything was fine at that point. We were like, oh, he's good. Like I had talked to him on the phone. I was like, everything's great. Because he was withdrawing from alcohol. Mm-hmm. And then, so the drive up was pretty like, it was like 16 hours to get to Rhode Island, or get to Maine and then Rhode Island. So the drive was pretty brutal. I remember that being just like alone and like just feeling like I'd like cooked like 6 breakfast tacos. So I was like full of like 14 eggs, and I was like crying, like beating on the steering wheel. But I felt very close to a thing that I don't feel often, which is like spirituality. Like, I felt like I was able to like talk with my mom at that point, and like also talk to my brother who was still alive, but he didn't, like it was just weird sort of like connectivity that I don't feel like I'm able to find outside of like turmoil.
Yeah.
So
we're very similar in that aspect of the roles being played during tragedy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you the kind of the rock?
Yeah. My mom was in very much shock. My sister inconsolable crying, and I had to like make the medical decisions basically for my dad. Yeah.
Your sister younger?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big time.
I kind of changed into the head of the household pretty much overnight. Yeah. So my dad collapsed. Well, he was in remission. Let me tell you that first. He, in June of 23, he was in remission. Great. Like, totally. That's just what my dad does. He defeats cancer, and he's, doing his thing. And then 2 months later, my mom calls me like, your dad collapsed at home. And we're like, okay. She's like, yeah, you need to get down here. So I rushed down 4 hours. He's unconscious. He's in a coma, and they find out that he has bacterial meningitis, which is an infection of the brainstem. He's in septic shock, so all of his organs are shutting down, and he's on 3 forms of life support. So the ventilator, the bear hugger. I don't know if your brother was on that. It's like them regulating the temperature. It's like a special blanket.
Okay.
It's like when they can't regulate their temp. And one other one I can't remember. Yeah, and then he started to wake up, and then we noticed that he was paralyzed from the neck down. And, he has a ventilator in. He's awake. He's conscious. But he basically has locked-in syndrome. He's not able to move his body. He's only really able to move his eyes to communicate with us, especially since he has that ventilator in. And I think that's one of the most traumatic parts of my memory. I think if he had been able to talk to me, it would have been a little bit less traumatic. But yeah, that was screwed up. And then he was for a total of 11 days in the ICU, and on day 9, his meningitis is getting better, and we're like, okay, well, he's still paralyzed. Like, what's going on? They find a huge tumor on his spine that has paralyzed him permanently for the rest of his life, and that he'd be hooked up to a machine, conscious and fully aware for the rest of his life. And I had to be the one to tell my dad this, and to tell him that we were going to take him off life support, because previously in his will, he had told my mom that, hey, like, if I'm ever alive by artificial means, please take me off. But it was different because he wasn't in a coma. He was fully aware and awake of what's going on, and he's also not able to talk to me. So there are people that are like, well, you got to say goodbye to him. But I'm like, yes and no. Like, I got to say goodbye, but it would have been nice to hear him say something back to me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, yeah, we took him off life support, and that was really... really tough. So there are a lot of traumatic memories within that I can't even believe I was able to get through just that too long didn't read version. But yeah, it was pretty heavy.
Yeah, that is heavy. Mm-hmm. And so you tell him this, and all you get is like a blink back, or what does that feel like or look like?
He looks really defeated. Like he's like, kind of like giving up.
My God.
Yeah.
That is rough.
Yeah. Yeah, and I often have or when I was heavy into the PTSD, I was having flashbacks of that. His face, either on the ventilator, or sometimes he would be in pain, like trying to get that ventilator out, trying to talk to me, and it's just all screwed up. And
yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, I mean, we gave him some morphine when he was taken off life support, and he passed pretty quickly at like 3 minutes because he couldn't breathe on his own. But when you're in the ICU for that long, I'm there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for 11 days straight because he can't advocate for himself, and things were changing so much. They said he was the most critical one in the ICU at that point. I didn't have really time to process what was going on. And then, after he passes, then I start having these immediate flashbacks, nightmares, and I didn't know what was PTSD and what was the grief. So I was kind of dealing with things at the same time.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. I can't tell if it's a traumatic story or, if it's traumatic for me because that's just my dad, or if it's like kind of.
I mean, I would argue that's pretty traumatic. That's like an intense thing to have to deal with.
Yeah.
And have to like be the one communicating with him and like making the call. That's big time.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine having to do that. My dad was thankfully the guy doing all that, and I was just kind of like on the sidelines, like cheering everybody on. So, but that moment, I mean, that like they call it like that death rattle. Imagine you. Mm-hmm. That 3 minutes was kind of rough.
Yeah, I laid on his chest and like heard his heartbeat until it stopped. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I tried to stay strong for him. Like the difference between my sister and I, she's very like wear her heart on her sleeve, which I love about her, but hysterically crying and doing all this stuff. And then I was just like, hey dad, like what's going on? Just like, I didn't want his last memories to be so depressing. I was like, I have the rest of my life to grieve him and to cry. So I don't want for his last moments to be kind of quote unquote ruined by this.
That's pretty, intuitive or something of you to be able to think that in the midst of all that. You're
in that survival mode. You're kind of go,
yeah.
Then you crash.
Yeah, you
for
come
like
off
a year and a half. I basically crashed.
Yeah. So what was that like? The year and a half? You did the PTSD, EDMR stuff.
Yeah.
You feel like that's something you would recommend to people? It sounds like.
Oh, 100%. So I started in January. By April, I had 50% of my PTSD symptoms gone, and then by July, about 90%.
Wow.
Yeah, and the important thing is the sooner you can get in to these type of therapies, the better. I'd say it's kind of like smoking. Okay, it's easier to quit after 1 week than it would be after 12 years of smoking.
Sure.
Once it becomes a habit in your brain, I feel like it's probably harder, but it was the most life-changing thing that I've ever done, and I'm proud of myself for kind of jumping in because it's not easy to face those traumatic things and to talk about those things.
Well, it's not easy from like a personal standpoint, like being able to motivate yourself, and it's also not easy like dealing with insurance and like pulling the funds together to deal with it. Like that's been like one of my biggest hurdles is just like trying to like have the money to be able to pay for therapy, and I'm a big proponent of it, and I think everyone should do it, but it's expensive.
It is. There are big barriers to therapy.
It's weird.
Money-wise, yeah. Yeah. So I definitely recommend EMDR. I think the best thing you can do is, the best combination would be to have social support, EMDR therapy, medication as if needed, and then talk therapy. I do not recommend just talk therapy for PTSD because you could basically just be exposing yourself to trauma without reprocessing them. So it's just like you're exposing yourself, and it's like, well, what are we doing to help your brain?
Right. So the PTSD symptoms were nightmares, flashbacks, like all things you would feel if you had been in like Vietnam or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It
I didn't think I would. I mean, I've dealt with trauma before, like, but nothing this intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flashbacks. I also, so like 1 in 3 people with PTSD end up trying to attempt suicide. And I definitely had some suicidal active and passive ideations during this because it was so aversive to me. Suicidal thoughts aren't technically a symptom of PTSD, but they can come about from the symptoms. Like you're dealing with all this and it's like so overwhelming.
What's an active versus passive ideation?
Passive would be more of like you wake up and you don't want to go to work and you're like, oh, I wish I could just sleep forever, and active is like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore.
Like I want to shoot myself in the head.
Yeah.
How are you doing now with these thoughts?
I'm doing fine. I haven't had them since June.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's been more than 6 months, and EMDR is definitely life-saving
Sounds
for
like
me.
it.
Yeah, it was really debilitating. I really have a soft spot for people, especially veterans, and it does scare me a little bit with the hurricane here, and I know of people who've had near-death experiences or have witnessed death. And I'm like curious to see if there are people in the community that don't know that they have PTSD and are just walking around with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking for you. Like, thank God you like were kind of in tune enough to be like, oh, or with your therapist to be like, oh, we should take care of it. We should nip this in the bud.
Yeah.
That's like impressive.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that happens like that very often. Where you're like, oh, I have PTSD. Okay, let's deal with it. Let's not have PTSD anymore.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I was lucky to, I have a clinical background, plus I was already in therapy. So like, it was just kind of like the perfect storm to be able to help myself.
Yeah. So the suicidal stuff, is that just like thoughts that are in your brain? Is that like, can you like pinpoint, was it like certain feelings you had where like, I don't want to feel this? Like what was like the, like, other than obviously the obvious things like it's PTSD and your dad's dead and all these terrible things are happening. Like what's the like instigator for that? Is it kind of like, oh, you wake up and you're like, I don't like this and I'm going to do this. This is terrible. Or is it just kind of a constant looming feeling for you, or was like, what was that like?
When I would wake up in the mornings, besides having nightmares in the middle of the night, I would wake up and be constantly bombarded with flashbacks, and I couldn't get away from things. And then throwing the grief on top, it was like, I didn't know how to function. I didn't know how I was going to get through this. And this is kind of early on, not knowing if the EMDR would be helpful for me. I would say it was more like, I don't think I can handle this kind of thoughts. Like, I don't think this is for me. Like I don't think I'm just gonna dip out, you know? Yeah. It was looking back, I'm like, it is kind of scary to think about how far deep I was in with that, because my brain was in such a place that wasn't functional.
Totally. Well, it's not something you're like aware of until after the fact. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah. I was like in a dark, dark space then.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you actually had somewhat of an awareness, which is cool, but it also sounds like you had like not a team, but like your therapist acknowledged it and you acknowledged it and you're like, okay, yes, let's manage this, which is better than a lot of people. But I feel like most people you're not aware of the way you were feeling until after the fact.
Yeah.
Like I think back to like the year and a half-ish after my brother died and post-COVID, and I was like drunk. Like I was working at the brewery 60-hour weeks, covering the pain with work and covering the pain with booze. And I didn't really and it was fun. Like we were having fun and it was like long days. I was making bank. It was sweet. And then I like think back and I was like, holy shit. I was like thin and like not well. Like I wasn't doing well, and I was never taking the time to acknowledge the fact that I wasn't doing well. And then after the fact, now that I have like color in my face again and I'm like healthy again, I like think back and I don't like regret anything, but I'm like, man, it really wasn't until I met my partner that I was like kind of my eyes started opening a little more and I started like truly feeling things again. And even that was like a long road. But for me, the like suicidal like ideations and the thoughts in my brain and really just the overall thing was just like, I had feelings where I wanted to like tear my skin off. I like had like pain. I had like this frustration inside, like I keep referring to my skin, but that's where I felt it like in between like my skin and my bones. This like weird, like angry, woe is me, like feeling of being like I'm a victim in this world, and it like hurt, and I wanted to get rid of it. I didn't want it anymore. And in my mind, I never like genuinely was like I'm gonna kill myself, but like I did have these constant flashing visions of just like a gun in my mouth or against my head.
Yeah.
And it was like,
yeah, it's pretty serious. It
was never like I don't have a gun. I never thought about getting a gun. Like I worked right at Dick's Sporting Goods. I could have went and bought a gun. It never got like to the point where I was like, I'm going to do this. it just was like, it was just like this, almost like an intrusive thought. Like I just kept seeing a gun and it would like find its way towards my head.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was sad. I hated it.
I mean, it is serious because sometimes with suicide, it can happen. You're having these thoughts, and sometimes what I've seen is people get really erratic and irrational at some point. Like something happens to them again, and then it's like game over. So like, you're noticing these thoughts, but like, they are pretty serious.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's always my thought. Like, so my brother, as far as anyone is concerned, as far as I'm concerned, he like took his own life with alcohol. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a similar thing. Like, I don't think it was intentional per se. Like, I don't think he was like, I'm going to drink so much vodka and die, because there's better ways to kill yourself. But I think it was just sort of this, like, I don't think he was really like in control or something. I don't know. It's hard. It's still something like that I struggle to put my finger on, mainly because I can't ask him why are you dead?
Yeah.
I would like to. I think I'd like to have that answer, but it's like, I think he just like was so deep that, and actually I think the moment that he was hospitalized was him being like, oh my God, I need to like get off the alcohol. And I think he realized that he couldn't do it without professional intervention.
But then it's like too late at that point.
Then it was too late. I think he withdrew. I don't say this often because I don't want to point fingers, but I wonder, I don't know if it's true, but I do wonder if there was maybe, because he was on Ativan. They were like pumping him with Ativan. I don't really know what Ativan is, but I think it's the drug you use when people are weaning off of alcohol. And then, so I talked to him that day, and then the night goes by, and my dad gets a call at like 3 or 4 a.m. or something like that he had coded. And I was like, what? Why is he coding? Everything was fine. I just talked to him. He was loopy. He was like out of it, but like definitely didn't seem like someone that was going to die.
Yeah.
And so like on my drive there, I was under the impression I was going to like walk my brother out of the hospital and go put him in rehab. That was what I thought was going to happen. And then all of a sudden the conversation changes very quickly to your brother's in a coma. It's not looking good. And we're like, what the fuck? How did that happen? So I don't say this out loud really, mainly because I don't want to like blame anyone, but I often wonder if there was some sort of malpractice or something accidentally happened that wasn't supposed to happen.
That is weird.
It's weird.
To go from that without any underlying, and he was being treated already.
Yeah, it's weird. Kind of strange. But I also feel the same way about my mother's death too. She got a neurovirus in, I don't remember the months, but like probably like 6 months before she died, she had gotten this like terrible sickness. We took her to the hospital. She was like throwing up, diarrhea, dehydrating. And they're like, you had a neurovirus, gave her IVs, sent her home. She was fine. And then it happened again in January the next year, and she died. And I don't think that was like malpractice or anything, but it wasn't like, there was no, hey, if she shows symptoms of this again, like this is what you do, or something like that. There was no like to me, it's like kind of could have been a preventable thing again, but I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. It's just, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. I just think hospitals are weird. I think like you were talking with your dad, I was thinking like I'm glad that you were able to have the time with him at the end, but it does sound like it created more trauma. Like having kept him alive created more trauma for you than it would have had he just collapsed and died.
Yeah.
Not that I wish that on anyone. And I don't know what you would prefer. You probably prefer the thing that happened because that's what happened. But I wonder if we could save people from traumatic hospital experiences like that if we just like let like life do the thing that it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And once we found out like this was like a permanent thing, we didn't really waste any time. So I was like, we don't want to like, but yeah, it is a good point. I'm like, I do often wonder, I'm like going back, I'm like, what part triggered the PTSD for me? Like, was it just the death in general? Was it the way he went out? So I'm like, I'm just curious, like different circumstances would have given me, different outcome.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I gotta imagine I don't know you well at all, but I am proud of you
Oh,
for where
thanks.
you are now, because it does seem like you've managed it and come a long way, and it's impressive to see. I mean, my brother was a perfect example of someone that kind of let not only his grief cripple him, but also just like life and circumstances. And, what you said something a couple minutes ago, like, the thought was like, I'm going to dip out. I think he like had that thought. He's like, I truly don't think like my brother was like built for this world or something. Like, I don't think he had like the tools. I think he could have. I think everyone's capable of like being great, but I just don't think he was like meant to be here, because everything was just, he like was easily frustrated by pretty much everything. He hated authority, he hated the rules. He couldn't live with the fact that his mom died when he was 19. Like, he just, all of it, like everything was just, he was always a victim of like being here. So not that I think that gives him a pass for being stupid, but I'm relieved that he's not in like terrible pain anymore.
Yeah.
Because I know the pain. He gave me the pain. He brought that pain into my life to show me what he had been feeling probably for a lot of his life. So.
Yeah, I mean, we are born here without our permission. So
I know.
it's not like we agreed to be here. So, yeah, life is hard. And
you said something a minute ago, maybe in reference to your mom, about life, like how you kind of had like an awakening. You're like, life's fragile. My mom has leukemia. My dad's dead. What does that mean? Life is fragile. How is that like a mantra? Is that something that affects the way you live your life now? Or what do you do with that information that life is fragile?
Yeah, good question.
For me, I think life is fragile for sure.
Yeah.
And I like to think that it affects the way that I choose to be, but I often wonder, or I just don't know that, like, I think if I meant it when I said life is fragile, and I was like, life is a fragile thing, I think I'd be like in the Bahamas. If I really meant it, like I'd be somewhere tropical, I'd be in Thailand, like fucking off.
Yeah.
And like enjoying and getting massages and living on like $10 a day and like taking advantage of the limited time by being somewhere beautiful. Not that where we live isn't beautiful. I love it here. But I think like if I truly meant and felt and believed that life is fragile, would I be doing the things that I do now, right now, every day? So I wonder because for me, my thought is like, okay, life is fragile. I've experienced tremendous loss in my life, and that has totally changed my trajectory. It's changed the way that like I think and behave and interact with people and the world around me, 100%. But if I really was like even look in the mirror now, and I still don't believe I'm like going to age. Like I still have that like 18-year-old mentality where I'm like, I'm going to be youthful forever, So like, do I really believe that life is fragile? Or do I like to just say it because it is like true and it means something? And how much does it really mean? So I wonder when I hear other people say that, like, is that something that you feel like influences the way you go through life? What do you do with the information that life is fragile?
I guess I've just felt, looking back, I've been naive a lot. I've been privileged enough that when tragedy has happened to me, things go okay in the end. And I've never had back to back to back to back, just constant blows, to me that like I haven't really been able to catch a break for the last 14 months. And, losing your parent at such a young age, I'm like, I don't know. I felt privileged enough not to have to deal with that kind of trauma so early on. But I don't think I experienced the true feeling of life is fragile until, all these tragedies started happening to me. I used to think, oh, everything's fine. Everything, will be okay in the end. And sometimes it's not.
Well, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I am totally okay. You're right. I'm in a great place. My mom has had her couple infusions now, and I'm doing fine.
Is that looking good?
Depends. She funny. So she was in the hospital and she was diagnosed with an autoimmune blood disorder. So her body is attacking her own blood cells, and they're like, okay, why is this happening? So they did a bone marrow biopsy and found out she has smoldering leukemia, and she's doing 12 infusions, and they'll see how she goes. But about 1 in 3 people with this type of leukemia end up having more aggressive types of leukemia, and what she has is not curable, it's treatable. They say she'll either die from it or die with it. So I'm actually okay right now.
It's kind of an optimistic outlook.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to read in. You don't read on the internet, because you see my dad's in remission and then 2 months he's dead.
Yeah.
You can't look at things like that.
Everybody's case is different.
And I guess life is fragile. Going back to that, I always thought my dad would be alive for a long time too. Like, my grandparents are still alive. They're 90 years old, his parents. And now I'm doing things a little bit differently now that my mom has cancer. Being a little bit more helpful in the way I do things with her, interacting with her to check in. Beforehand, I was like, oh, my dad's fine, but I'm sure it would have been nice for me to check in a little bit more often with him and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's one of those things that is pretty common, and you hear time and time again, is like just checking in a little more. Mm-hmm. Like putting in that time. Like, I wish all the time that I had just put in like a little more time into I don't know. I don't know if I wish it, because I did put a lot of time and energy like into like my brother, but if I knew then what I am aware of now, which is the fact that he was die at the age of 28, I probably would have called him more and visited him a little bit more.
Totally.
So I think that's a good way to see life as fragile, like implementing that without actually needing the cause,
Yeah.
To like call your dad or call your mom, regardless of whether, or like without needing someone to die to inspire you to do so.
Yeah.
Life is fucking weird.
Sure is.
It's a tough thing to do. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. So your partner in all this, how is he doing?
Good. He's been really supportive.
Good.
We kind of had to talk through like maybe what grief would look like with me for a little bit.
Had he grieved, or has he grieved in his life?
No, he's been pretty lucky on that front.
Lucky bastard.
I know, right?
God.
He's just a sweetheart, and he's been really supportive of me and been really patient with me, which I really appreciate. I have a great life. I have a good partner and job and friends, and I'm doing okay despite the last year.
Yeah.
That life has handed to me.
Yeah. I don't know which one I would rather, because I actually oftentimes feel grateful for my experiences, especially as a young guy. Because I do think it's like hardened me, and it's turned me into someone that can manage my stress pretty well. And I know how to deal with hard shit, because I dealt with the hardest things. I don't know that I think I would prefer that. I think I'd prefer having loss early in your life versus later in your life.
Interesting.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying that to make myself feel better, but it does feel advantageous.
Yeah. I mean, you do change, and I don't sweat the small stuff. I used to a lot.
Sure, same.
Yeah, and like the fact that I'm able to kind of cope better, from my dad's death, PTSD, to the hurricane, to my mom, now, and I'm like, I'm doing fine. Like that, and yeah, I don't care what people think anymore. I don't, I don't care. Totally. I really just don't care.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Just to not be spending time worrying about other people's thoughts about you, or the things you do, or how you spend your time, or anything else, really.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think about anything negative that, like, obviously working through the therapy, but like past that, like, I don't think so. It's like definitely shaped my friendships, I'm like, you were there for me through some really hard times. Like I appreciate that. So, and I appreciate my friends who understand mental health. I gravitate towards my female friendships who, have that deep understanding of that. And, yeah.
Yeah. And your dad's not like dealing with cancer anymore.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
That's the silver lining, I think. For me, are you religious at all or spiritual or?
Actually, no. No. And, I don't know if you are, but.
I'm not religious.
No, I'm. In fact, I think this has pushed me even farther away from religion. Not that I was before, but I also find a little peace for me. I find a peace in like, my dad's time is done. And like, I also, any guilt that I feel, I don't know if you've ever felt like those feelings of guilt after someone passes. It's like, well, he can't feel emotions right now. He doesn't have a human body anymore. So there's no use in stressing about that anymore. And I find peace in that, that he's done his time. And I guess I don't need to be like, oh, I need an afterlife to like look forward to cope with this.
Yeah. So when you die, because it'll happen, do you have any expectation that you'll meet them again or him?
No.
You just kind of like you had your time with him and that was it?
Yeah. I actually have a pretty close relationship right now with him, even though he's not here. I felt like I've actually gotten closer with him after he's passed in a weird
Tell me about that.
way.
How does that work?
I've learned a lot about him after his passing, and I still talk to him kind of like in my head, like, oh, like this reminded me of you. And then I know exactly what he would say back to me. And it's like, he's still around in my head. I'm half of him. Mm-hmm. So.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Mm-hmm. That's a cool thing to acknowledge. That was something I still feel, but I felt really, really strong like first like 6 months to a year after my brother died. I was like, I just kind of felt like it was everywhere with me. Now it's less because I feel like I'm not forgetting him, but I don't think I'll ever forget him. I feel like I forgot my mom, which is weird. But for my brother, I like the guy that he was. I mean, it's been almost 5 years since I last saw him. Like that's a decent amount of time to like, friends that I had 5 years ago or places that I were 5 years ago, I don't remember terribly, like, so it feels like he's with me less, although I still have this like voice in my head and these sort of like the dumb shit in my brain, like the dumb, silly jokes and inappropriate things. I'm like, oh yeah, nice dude. I'm like, hell yeah, brother. I remember him and I like, and I'm like, that's the guy that I can laugh at this because I know him and I would have laughed at this. And that feels comforting. And that feels good.
You don't have to constantly think about them for them to, for you to care, to know that you care about them.
That's something I've been thinking about lately too, is this like almost this feeling of, this is going to sound weird, so bear with me. Almost this feeling of like envy towards people that have lost people recently. Because there was a really magical, I use the word magical neutrally. Okay. Because it wasn't like magical, whimsical, special. Like it was like magical in the sense that it did feel like there was magic happening. Because grief, I think, is this like really powerful drug that like blasts you off and all of a sudden you're like tripping for a little while. But there was this magical, like, these feelings I had where like I could cry on a dime, which is not the greatest thing, but like I like the release of crying. It's nice. I felt really close to my brother. I felt close to all my family. I felt like I was very in tune with him, even though he was dead. I felt like I was like communicating with a dead guy in a way that I have lost now. And so maybe envy is not the right word, but I do have this like thing where I'm like, I don't miss it because I don't want to deal with all the other baggage that comes with grieving. It is a little bit of envy. I'm like, man, I remember what it was like to be like freshly mourning someone, but there's like a weird thing. There's like a weird energy about it that you don't get in other things, like in any other emotion. Grief is like its own thing that I think is like a really special thing. Like it's a really intimate, unique thing. Like you're saying, that has created a new relationship with your dad that you didn't maybe had before, but now it's strengthened. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
How's that even possible? That's crazy. I hope that you maintain that. I think that's really awesome. I hope that your dad is like on your side forever. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. I think now that I'm past, the nightmares and flashbacks, I can have kind of replace those things with more positive memories and think about him without being like, oh, I can't think about that because that'll trigger things, know? That has been helpful. But yeah, I mean, you frame grief in a very interesting way. I've actually never heard it framed like that, but it's almost like you're saying grief to you is more like a comfortable enemy. It's like, grief to you is like comfortable, but it's not always wanted.
Totally. Well, it sucks.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's terrible. But from it, I think you're a great example, and I feel as though I'm a great example of kind of coming out of it. I'm better than I was. But the moments, like the 6 months after my brother died, I was like high as a kite, I think. I truly think that I was like tripping or something. It was so weird. It was like with my mom, it was like she died. I mourned pretty heavily for 2 weeks. Like I just kind of like did my thing, wrapped myself in like a blanket and cried. And then I kind of came out of it and I was like, okay. And then I totally changed everything I was doing in my life and started going to the gym, became friends with people, which I hadn't had, ran for class president and got it. Like I was like kind of a loner loser. And then all of a sudden I wasn't. And it was because I was like, it was the life is fragile thing. I was like, what am I fucking doing? I'm like, this is in theory, what everyone says, I'm 16 is the best time of your life. I'm going to get up and I'm going to like make something of myself. And I think had my mom not died, I would have stayed on loner trajectory. And then I wouldn't, who knows what I would be doing now. But with my brother, it was like this long, like high I had where I could like, then I was doing like the solo podcasts all the time and like not thriving, because when I think about like some of my other habits, I was like, not the greatest time of my life, but I was connected. I was like in tune with like my feelings and my emotions and like a guy that wasn't alive anymore. Like I was truly able to like communicate with him in my dreams, through the podcasts, like et cetera, et cetera. And it all sucked. And I don't want to like glorify grief, but I think I think magic is the word. There is like this like sort of weird magical element, good or bad. It's like it kind of changes the chemistry in your brain, and all of a sudden that like, I'm not a religious person by any means. I didn't grow up religious. I actually was like identified vehemently as an atheist for most of my life until my brother died. And I was like, ooh, I think there's something else going on here that I did not give any credit to. And I don't think it's God. I don't know what it is, but there's more going on here than I thought.
Interesting.
I think the brain is really powerful. And I think whether an afterlife is real or not, I think the brain is powerful enough to create something. There's like drugs in the brain. There's like drugs in the brain that like, I think when I die, I'm going to like skyrocket and see my folks, see my peeps. I like, and I don't believe that, like even when I say it, I'm like, that's so stupid, but I still think that's so stupid, but I like believe it in a part of me that like can't articulate. Like I just kind of feel that. And that was the sad thing about the suicide feelings I used to have. I was always like, well, that's the way to get there. Like if I really miss my brother that much, that's how you find him. Dark stuff.
Wow. What do you think your suicidal thought served as a purpose for you?
I mean, I don't know. What does it serve for anyone? It feels like the answer. When you don't have any other answers or solutions to the adverse feelings and sadness and the feeling like we were saying, like grief you don't talk about it. And so I felt very alone, and I was like, well, as far as I can tell, the one way to like not feel these things, other than to just feel them, like it sounds like the EMDR, EMDR does for you, is like, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Let's blow this popsicle stand.
I'm proud of us for talking about this. It's a very taboo topic, and I think people get scared away from talking about it a lot, and even farther than grief. You know, grief is already in its own category. And it's like suicidal thoughts are just, you know, kind of don't. People like to hide away from that because a lot of stigma.
A lot of stigma. Like you're weak or something. But it's like you said, we didn't ask to be here. And so like, and I especially didn't ask for like my circumstances. Like they're frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, like it's frustrating to be a 16-year-old kid, like with the dead mom. Nobody wants to be that guy. That was like dumb. I hated that. It was lame.
That's so sad.
I know, it was stupid.
Aww.
And I made the best of it. And I think I sympathize and feel more bad for me then than he did for him then or something. But yeah, it's like, you know, nobody wants to like, you don't want to have a dead mom at 16. You have a dead mom when you're like 50.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So, and that's kind of the lingering thing for me. Like here's a weird thought. Listen to this one. I have almost been, what is the month or what is the year? 2025? I have almost been alive longer without her in my life than I was with her in my life.
Wow. Have you been tracking that, or you just kind of noticed like the farther away you got from that?
She died when I was 15 and I just turned 30.
Yeah.
So I'm like, happy birthday. I was hoping you were going to say happy birthday.
Oh, sorry. Just a little zoned out from talking about trauma there for a little bit, dissociating.
Yeah, no happy birthday here. So now there it is. I've like crossed the threshold, and in like a year and a half, I will have been alive longer as with her as a dead person than she was as a live person. And then before you know it, like I'll have just like, she won't even, I mean, even now in my life, she's not someone that has any concept of my life or anything, or like, she's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing to think about.
Wow.
And that will happen to you at some point when you're, I guess, 60 or
60, 29, so I guess 58. Yeah, but that's rough because I don't even want to say this, like she missed a lot of like, you know, graduations, just the milestones.
Totally.
And I don't know, that seems really difficult. At least like I was an adult. You know, it's just, I just can't imagine.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Well, and then just anything really, like, you know, you don't have kids. It sounds like you have a baby, 11-year-old puppy, doggy.
Grandma
Piper. But like, you know, if you have kids and you get married, you're married? You're married. He went to your wedding.
He did. And I have a lovely video of him from making a speech at our wedding.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But when you have kids, anything, you get like the career move, or, you know, you move to this place because of this, or like whatever happens, or you get a new degree, or anything could happen. All of these milestones will continue to happen. And now your dad is just this different character in it. And he doesn't see it, or he does, I don't know, but he doesn't. Like, you don't get to celebrate with them, you know, and that's just shitty. Yeah. So that's why, like, I feel like it's important to talk about grief, because it's like, I hate like the whole, like, the thing that drove my atheism even harder when I was a teenager was like this whole, like, she's in a better place now conversation. I'm like, fuck off. I'm like, what about me? I'm not in a better place. Like, good for her. Great. My mom's in a better place, but I'm still fucking down here trugging along. You know, like, it's like grief should be talked about. We should be able to like be frustrated by it. Cause like, again, we didn't ask to be here. We didn't ask to participate in this. I love my life. I've come a long way. I feel very happy to be like a participant in most of the things that I do, but it still doesn't, like, I feel like I deserved more. I feel like I deserved like a mother and a brother that aren't dead by the time before I was fucking 25, you know, like,
that's not really, I hate to say the word normal, but that's not, like, at least in this day and age, that just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah.
So I like to talk about it. I'm glad that you like have come to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I think it should be something, and that's kind of the whole idea with this is just like, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, like we're all going to deal with it. Whether you're fucking 16 or 29 or 75, you're going to mourn and grieve. Maybe you'll have the tools for it. Maybe you won't. But like, it does suck. It sucks when it sucks when you lose someone. Doesn't matter how old you are. It's like a sad thing to deal with. And
really, you don't have any jealousy of like, you see like a 50-year-old like mourning their mom, and they're like, well, like you had a full life.
Sure, I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love, like the holidays come around, and everyone, like, when I was working at the brewery, people bring their families around and their mom and stuff, and they have this like fun relationship with their mom. I'd love that. Mm-hmm. I'd love to pal around with my brother, but I can't.
Yeah.
So like jealousy, I don't feel. Yeah, I mean, maybe jealous. I'm probably a little jealous, but like, I just attach to other people's moms. I fucking love other people's moms. I love them. I want to be hanging out with moms all the time. I've been able to fill that spot by just treating people's moms with love. I love when I meet other people's moms, and like for like the holidays, I was just with another family, and I just latch the mom, and I treat her the best I can,
I love that.
I want the moms to be like feeling good and special, because moms rock.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have like, I was kind of a shithead. So to my mom. So like now that I don't have a mom, I'm happy to not be a shithead to other people's moms.
Teenage years. It's a rough, yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
I was, a little spitfire.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we all are kind of shitty at that time.
Not a good time.
No. So that's for me how I feel fine with it. I'm just like, I treat other people the way that I would, I want to be treated, but then B, the way I wish that I could treat people that I can't treat anymore.
Wow.
So
I feel great talking to you. It's so great, like, especially with you having such a long experience with grief. It's refreshing to have a different perspective, but also like a positive, and not in a toxic positive way, like forcing it. It's like you've dealt with your grief. You're kind of on this other side, and you've had kind of like a comeback story almost.
Thanks.
So.
Yeah, I feel proud of it. I feel proud of like my experiences, and again, I think there's always going to be this like feeling of like, I do wish that I could talk to my brother. Like there'll be days, even still now, 5 years in, where I'm like, I'll be just kind of down for the day or irritated. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't feel like this is fair. Still, I'm like, this sucks. I hate this. But the general thing that has come from it has been, I think, net positive.
Yeah. He's
not in pain anymore. I'm better than I've ever been, maybe, as far as I think. And I've gotten closer to people that were in his life. Like I'm friends now with, almost like familial now with his best friends. So like there's new bonds that have been created, and we see each other every year, sometimes several times a year, when we kind of celebrate him. And now we have like, and that's my favorite thing about having dead people, is now I like celebrate. I have 3 birthdays as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. What do you do for birthdays?
It depends. Usually lasagna is involved for my mom's. So hers is in April. So I'll make lasagna, or we'll go and I'll just wine and dine myself. Or I'll like make something I've never made. And then for my brother, it's something similar. Make like a meatloaf, or like go eat Italian food, or eat chicken fried steak or something stupid. Like, and I just celebrate. You just all of a sudden have these like, and same with their death days too. I get like 5 birthdays. It's amazing.
I forgot about the death days. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the death day, and then you have the half death day.
Oh, that's a new one. That's oh man. Oh no.
Yeah. So all of a sudden you have confetti like 6 times a year. It's great.
Wow.
So
this past year, I trained for a personal bike ride for my dad, and cool. I raised money for like bacterial meningitis and cancer, and got to do what I love and ride my bike. So that's amazing. It was great. And then Wes and I pigged out on some Mexican food and called it a day.
Nice. The bike race is cool and more admirable than me eating chicken parm, but
Hey,
That's awesome.
it serves the same purpose though.
Yeah.
You know, you're honoring somebody. His birthday falls on Father's Day, so it's like, which is like, it could be double grief heavy, or, you know, you kind of get it out of the way if you're feeling sad.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, double the party. Yeah, that's good. Then you don't have like two things to like dread.
Yeah. I guess Father's Day moves around, but like it's every 4 years it'll fall on the same day or the same weekend. So.
Father's Day moves around? I guess it does.
I think it's like the third. It was like
Third
second or third Sunday of June.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. Weird. What was your dad's name?
Scott.
Scott.
Yeah.
Cheers to Scott.
I know.
What a sweetie.
He was a great man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's good.
He was like big into voters' rights. He volunteered at the polls. He made sure, you know, minorities had a voice in voting. He volunteered as a mentor to kids who didn't have any good role models in school. So, you know, he'd show up to their games and help them with their homework. He worked at he got his bachelor's in double bachelor's in history and political science and his master's at University of Georgia in political administration. He worked.
Whoa.
Yeah, I had a lot to live up to with him. He worked with the governor at the state of Georgia for about 40 years. He was the director of budgeting and auditing for the state. So I couldn't do it. So numbers and I don't know, a lot of stress. So he was smart and he loves history and he was really quirky, kind of nerdy, but I love him.
Yeah. That's sweet. Scott, how old was he when he died?
65. My parents had me a little bit older. I call myself a test tube baby. I was born via IVF. I think they couldn't have kids. So like, because back in the 90s, they tried for a long time and, yeah.
Whoa.
Here I am.
Was your sister the same?
She was an accident because my parents didn't think that they could get pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's kind of like crazy that like
wild.
she's younger than me and they were able to have her after me.
I wonder what happened. Or they just maybe didn't know that they could have kids or it was really challenging and then all of a sudden.
I don't know.
Huh. Little miracle.
Yeah.
Is she a little miracle or do you guys get along?
We do. We're kind of polar opposites, but we love each other.
How's she? She doing okay?
She is. I mean, she definitely has still some trauma. Like when my mom was in the hospital, I was there with my mom the whole time and she couldn't even come in because she was having like severe anxiety because, you know, of my dad's stuff. So there's definitely things that she could work on. But I am proud of her. I think she has stepped up in her own way. You know, she's always been my little sister. It's always Emma. You know, she's little and, you know, poor her and stuff like that. But she's really kind of stepped up and I'm proud of her.
That's cool.
Yeah.
She live here?
She lives in West Midtown in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
About like 35 minutes from my mom's house.
Okay, so she's a little closer.
Yeah.
She's kind of the point person or?
Yeah, which can bring a lot of stress.
Totally.
You know, and I hate, you know, I try as much as I can to kind of travel down and stuff. But it is hard for her too, you know, her being the one. My mom's partially disabled too, so she can't really walk well. And then on top of this, it's like she just needs a lot more help than maybe, you know, and she's a widow. So it's like she's alone. She can't really help herself. And there's just a lot of stress on my sister's back. So I try to alleviate that as much as I can.
Yeah. I think that's something I'm grateful for is not having to do that. Mm-hmm. Like my people have just kind of left and that was shitty and impromptu, but at least I didn't have to like, I'm not terribly afraid of death, but I don't like the idea of like dying, like doing chemo and all that stuff sounds really hard to be either the person that's dealing with it or the person that's like the chauffeur or the, you know, the point person for it. It's just like,
it's a little much, isn't it?
It's a lot of work. And then you're just kind of like constantly in this like stress zone of like, will she, won't she?
Yeah.
Which sucks.
She's not in like great health to begin with. So it kind of like, I don't know how treatments will go, but I'm going to keep an open mind. Yeah. You know, like you never know. So I feel like being in Asheville is my little cocoon. Sometimes maybe maybe I do it on purpose or maybe not, but I'm like, it's very easy for me to kind of forget about some of my home life, my family life stressors when I'm here. I've been able to kind of compartmentalize, like, oh, when I'm here, I can kind of get in my rhythm and stuff. But when I'm at home, you know, I'm a different person. I'm like a helper and caretaker kind of.
Yeah. That's helpful to be able to compartmentalize.
Yeah. Used to not be able to, but I just, you know, I have the energy now to, you know, do things like that.
Did your sister do any EMDR or therapy or?
She's in therapy. I'm not, if you can tell, we're not very good communicators in my family. We're like, we'll send each other memes and TikToks, you know, funny stuff, but we won't constantly talk about
that's a language.
Our issues. Yeah. Yeah. It's language. Like, I love you. I love you. We're going through something. We know we are, but like, yeah, I probably should check in with her. I probably should. I know she's in therapy, but the fact that she was like having such a visceral reaction to not even being able to come up to the hospital or, you know, I'm like, you know, I know she's not having flashbacks or nightmares, but there is some heavy trauma there that maybe she could work on.
Totally.
Because you don't have to have, you know, PTSD to be bogged down by trauma. Your trauma is valid no matter diagnosis or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Call her on your way home.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll do that. Yeah.
Call her now.
Oh gosh.
I want to do that someday.
Oh my gosh.
I want to introduce like calling people on the pod. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Someday, not today.
Not today.
not Emma.
No.
Well, so what else you got? And I don't mean that by like, let's force conversation. I mean like, if you were to have, I mean, I feel like you've conveyed a pretty good message and I really appreciate it. And I think it's awesome. And I'm impressed with you. I think it's to be able to like pull yourself up by your bootstraps and like kind of take care of your shit and mourn in a really healthy way. That's cool. I think I think if this episode does anything, I would love for it to be like an advocate of that. Yeah. So thanks for wanting to be here. It seems like that was part of the inspiration, was kind of wanting to share some of that.
Yeah, for sure.
PTSD stuff. And, but if there was anything else you wanted to share or things that you would want to say to our millions of listeners, what would it be? It doesn't have to be amazing or profound. I just like to give people a little last words platform.
Well, I guess just if anyone's listening is experiencing any symptoms that they relate to me, please, like, I would love to, you know, get in contact and, you know, connect you with some resources or even be like a point of social support. I definitely felt really isolated because I don't know who's going through PTSD and grief at the same time. Like, obviously grief's so isolating to begin with, but it would have been nice to have someone that I could relate to in that situation. Happy birthday. I'm going to leave
Thank you so much. With you. Big 30.
Yeah. Nice. We're about the same age, so.
Nice.
Yeah. No, and I'm not all depressy trauma all the time. I'm a happy person. I just had to get through some sticky shit.
Sticky shit.
Ew, that's awful.
Yeah, that is gross.
I'm so sorry.
No, I mean that's a good way to mention and talk about grief, as it is sticky shit.
I didn't think that
it smells and you can't get it off. No, it's terrible.
No, but
do you want to share? In the show notes, I can share your Instagram.
Yeah,
if you want, let me know.
Yeah.
Or whatever your like preferred method of, because you probably don't want to give out your phone number, but if you wanted people to actually reach out, Instagram seems like a good like shielded way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
I'm here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we've done like a little over an hour.
That's great. I didn't cry.
You didn't cry.
I know. This has been the biggest exposure therapy.
I almost cried when you were talking about your dad. I was close, which is rare.
Really?
I was like that because you painted a terrible image. Thanks. But it was like, that's a lot. Yeah. That's like a really terrible thing to have to deal with.
It's very validating to hear that because it's you, my therapist, Weston, and my best friend, Haley, who know about that story. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know, you know? So it's very validating to hear, oh, that actually was pretty awful.
And that's what I think I told you on the phone. Like, even if this doesn't go anywhere, I think it's powerful for you and I. It helps me because even just this morning before we came in here, I sometimes feel like an imposter. Like I kind of feel like, and Sammy talked about this a little bit, but I'm like, is my grief even like worthy of talking about anymore? Or is it even like real anymore? But then I get in here and I talk about my shit and I hear your shit and I'm like, oh yeah, that sucks. I remember now that was sucky. That sucked. I hated that. So that feels, I think validating is a good way to put it. It is and I think that again, the grief conversation should be a little louder because I think validation is crucial. I think like to feel like you're not like sick with something, which is often what I feel like grievers are made to feel like they like have this weird illness and you like kind of talk about it hush hush and it's weird.
Yeah. It's like people think you're contagious and
like you're covered in like sticky shit or something.
No. Oh no.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sweet.
It was a great talk.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I think it was really great. You think it's nice up here?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Love it.
I would get your photo, but my phone's down there, so we'll get it on the way out. I don't have to. I can put something else up. It's kind of like when the episode comes out, it'll be like the thumbnail.
Gotcha.
We don't have to. Or you can send me a photo. Or I can put something up. I can get AI to make me something. We can talk about it later.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll chat.
We'll figure it out.
We'll chat.
Sweet.
Sounds good. Cool.
Headphones start to squeeze my skull.
Yeah, it's like it kind of forgets they're on there. What did you think?